5, we're going to start with the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, they did lose to the Colts this past week, but they started out fast, beating the Chargers. Patrick Mahomes is their quarterback. They got to get back on track. I think this past week was a wake-up call for them, and it's going to help them later in the year. At number 4, I'm going with the Baltimore Ravens. Lamar Jackson, probably the NFL MVP frontrunner right now. Their defense got back on track after giving up those 28 points in the fourth quarter to the Dolphins. Lamar is on fire, and as long as he's playing like that, they might end up being a Super Bowl favorite. Now, at number 3, I'm going with the Buffalo Bills. I get it. Everybody thought they were going to go undefeated this year. But guess what? They lost to the Miami Dolphins. Yes, they are banged up, but they still got that bad man, Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs out there at wide receiver. So they're coming in at number 3. At number 2, I'm going with the Philadelphia Eagles. Jalen Hurts has played himself into the second place, in my opinion, of the MVP conversation. Their defense had 9 sacks against the Commanders, and the Commanders' defense dared Jalen Hurts to beat them with his arm, and he did that. They got 2 Batmans at wide receiver, and that's why they're there at number 2. And number 1, the team that nobody wants to give credit to. The team that everybody said the quarterback ain't got no arm strength. And what I'm telling you is, the one thing you don't want to see is a pissed-off Samoan. Tua Tagovailoa, the Miami Dolphins, coming in at number 1. They beat the team that beat the Super Bowl champs from last year. They beat the team that beat the number 1 team in the AFC last year, the Tennessee Titans. And they went out there and they got it done, only gave up 19 points to a team that had hung over 27 on every team that they faced. So face it, people, the Miami Dolphins are the best team in the NFL.
Now, we had a lengthy debate about this a little bit earlier, and Dominique, were Robert and I, who I agree with him, able to win you over. It's not about who's going to be the best team at the end of the season. They've beaten New England, Baltimore, and Buffalo.
I have no problem with this list. This is the power rankings. You ask who the best team in football is. It's different than who is the top of the power rankings. I could quibble with Eagles over Dolphins, Dolphins over Eagles, but I think this is an excellent list. Nothing to argue about. I'm a Dolphin fan. Fins up.
Fair enough. And then we're going to get to see Tua coming up this week, and that's part of some huge quarterback matchups that we had in Week 4. So let's look ahead to them. It's actually Thursday night. Tua and the 3-0 Dolphins go to Cincinnati, taking on last year's superstar quarterback, if it's Joe Burrow. The Bengals finally got a win last week. First time these two played each other since they were at Bama and LSU. Sunday, we got a rematch of Super Bowl 55 when Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs face Tom Brady and the Bucs. We know the Tampa's offense currently averaging just 17 points a game through 3 weeks, maybe the best of them all. The 2 MVP frontrunners taking center stage, Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson, will square off. Yesterday, RC had these thoughts on Lamar.
He is setting a new quarterback market every time he steps on the field. For all the things that we said about the young guns that were coming up, oh, Joe Burrow's better, oh, Justin Herbert's better, it looks different, but it's not better. Lamar Jackson is the scariest player at the position in the entire world.
So I want to set the stage for this conversation appropriately, because when I brought this up in our meeting this morning, much of the reaction was, well, who's questioning him? Who is it that doesn't acknowledge how great he was? Do I need to remind everyone? Put the quote on the screen. This wasn't 10 years ago. This was 2 months ago that an anonymous NFL defensive coordinator told The Athletic that I don't care if he wins league MVP 12 times. He'll never be a number 1 as a quarterback. He's number 1 as a football player, but not as a quarterback. He didn't rank amongst the top 10 quarterbacks in the sport as voted on by the geniuses who actually run these teams. So the point is, there are still people questioning the greatness of Lamar Jackson. Why is that? Jeff Saturday, you were the one who said to me, no one's questioning it. Yes, they are. Yeah. Why?
They dum-dums. Straight dum-dums, bro. I mean, whoever the coordinator is, he's talking about wins 12 MVPs, but we play football. It's not just he plays football. So if you watch the way that the Ravens have built this offense around him, this guy is lethal whether he's throwing the ball or running the ball. And look, this is a power run set up for a quarterback. He's 11 yards and ends up getting this thing in. They run a counter trade a few plays before, and you have Matthew Judon running basically a sprint to the sideline for the tailback. This play right here, look at this. He's got a tight end he's got a receiver Duvernay. He's got his right tackle blocking down the field. These plays are almost impossible to defend. And so when you put a player of Lamar Jackson's caliber back there, somebody says, I don't care if he wins MVP 12 times, he going to win Super Bowls, he's winning MVPs, because that means he's 87% of their offense. If 87% of your offense is that, you're winning games. I mean, it's just stupid. So that's why I asked the question.
You know, and so we got this led to a bigger discussion in our meeting this morning. And, you know, Robert Griffin III, you were his teammate. You know him well. And he has not done a lot of the things that the quarterbacks traditionally do, the stars of his caliber. Not only does he not got the contract, but you don't see him in all the commercials and talk shows and things like that you do maybe with Patrick Mahomes and some of the others. Tell us about him. What makes Lamar Jackson tick?
Oh, I mean, Lamar Jackson's his own guy, and that's one thing I noticed after being his teammate for 3 years. He marches to the beat of his own drum. He wants to be a trailblazer. The first thing he said when we came into a meeting was, I want to be a billionaire. Well, how do you become a billionaire? Billionaires are guys that are innovative. They're the ones that are setting new trends, and that's what he wants to go out and do. But the thing he did best this offseason was he took his own growth and development into his own hands. He went out and worked with quarterback coach Adam Dato out in California 9 times. Now, to give you a reference, guys like Tom Brady, Matt Ryan, work with the same guy, and they go out 2 or 3 times throughout an offseason. Lamar, he skipped the Ravens offseason program, and he said, you know what, I need to get better at my fundamentals, my mechanics, to become repeatable. And that's what you've seen in the film. He is repeatable. He can hit a 15-yard out 15 times in a row now, same spot where he needs to go. His feet are calm in the pocket. And I watched him go out there and throw 4 touchdowns this week. Only 1 interception, but 4 touchdowns, not a ton of yards, and it just reminded me of his MVP season in 2019. Yeah. He's doing great things. He's first in passing touchdowns, first in passer rating, second in QBR, and 4th in rushing. Yeah. All I got to say is
4th in rushing.
Listen, 4th in rushing.
Yesterday's price ain't today's price.
Fair enough. But Dominique,
yesterday's price ain't today's price.
He's the best player in the National Football League, and no one says it. If we were to start right now, if every NFL, all those same general managers and geniuses who run these teams, if they were to start a draft right now and they could pick any player they wanted, they would take Mahomes, they would take Allen. Lamar Jackson is the best player in the sport right now, and people don't say that out loud.
Yeah, I mean, these coaches and general managers have come up in football a certain way, and they believe that that's the only way. There's some people who are willing to challenge that and think of it differently. But the fact of the matter is, Lamar Jackson is improving at those traditional things also. It is scary. And if he does this in quiet, which he's kind of doing it secretly, where he's balling from the pocket, and he still keeps this part of his game, like, he is going to be, I don't know what's better than the best, but he's going to be that. And this team around him is going to get better because of him. He's one of the few players in football that actually, like, lifts all boats around him. He is a rising tide. We say it about other quarterbacks, but nobody really does it like he does.
Marcus, get in here.
Hey, guys, I listen, man, this is about to take a turn, okay? And I'm just warning everybody before we start.
Let's go.
Lamar Jackson is a black quarterback, okay? That has a lot to do with how he's talked about. Could you imagine if Baker Mayfield was having the career Lamar Jackson is having right now? If we would be having these conversations or talking about some anonymous GM talking about him winning 12 times. Like, I hate that I got to bring that up. But when it comes to Lamar Jackson, it's always, yeah, but. Yeah, but. What is he going to do? Bro, the dude, to your point, G, what you just said, Lamar Jackson, and it should stop there. Right now, Lamar Jackson is the best player in the NFL. Right now. That's what he is. Guess what? 2 years ago, he was the best player in the NFL. And we still got to have people out here in the public having conversations. Not us here. I've heard everybody agree about Lamar Jackson's ability, his talent, and what he does successfully. I got on Lamar